What's going on YouTube? This is Ipsec and we're doing CrimeStoppers from HackTheBox, which is a machine I created. And since I created it, I decided to be lazy and do almost no prep work, which I'm sure is going to bite me in the ass and there's going to be confusing as hell parts in the video, but oh well, we're going to do it anyways. So, when I created this box, I had one goal in mind, and that was to have enough Easter eggs through the box that acted as a hint system so you could do a lot of learning without wasting your time, and hopefully the Easter eggs I placed didn't send you down wrong rabbit holes. So as we come across them, I'll explain my thought process and we'll do the box. It's a pretty fun box. It involves a PHP LFI with the filter base 64 stuff to pull down the PHP scripts and view the source. And it also allows us to upload a file, and if that file is a zip file, we can gain code execution because it's hard to explain, you'll see in the video, or you can click below to the LFI portion to see. And once you get a shell in the box, you plunder through some email, read that probably White Rose is still on the system, and there's a rootkit on the system. You have to do a little bit of reverse engineering. I'm going to use Radare to do that reverse engineering. So let's just jump in, and I hope you enjoy the box. Like every other box, we're going to start off with the nmap, so nmap-sc for default scripts, sv enumerate versions, oa output all formats, put in the nmap directory, and let's call this initial, then the IP address of CrimeStoppers, which is 10.10.10.80. This does take some time, so I've already ran it, and looking at the results, we see only one port is open. It is port 80. It's running Apache, it's a Ubuntu server, and running version 2.4.2.5. We can find out exactly what flavor of Ubuntu this is by just going to packages Ubuntu Apache, and this is going to take us to packages.ubuntu.com/apache2, and this shows us what flavors of Ubuntu are bundled with what Apache versions. So Trusty's going to be 2.4.7, Xennial's 2.4.1.8, Artful's 2.4.2.7, and we skipped 2.4.2.5, which is a little bit weird. So let's just Google Apache 2.4.2.5 Ubuntu. And we can get the very first result. Just go to launchpad/Ubuntu, so that's a good sign. And we see it says Zesty. And Zesty isn't on this page either. And if you Google Ubuntu Zesty, we can see it reaches end of life January 13, 2018. So let's just Google Ubuntu end of life and go to that page and see all the Ubuntu versions. So ubuntu.com/info/release end of life. And is this going to show us the life cycle of Zesty and graphs? I actually don't want that. Let's see, is this what I wanted? Maybe it's the wiki. Yeah. So we can see all the Ubuntu end of life. This was released April 13, 2017, and end of life date was January 13th, 2018. So it didn't have a long life because this wasn't a LTS version, the long something support. Maybe long-term support is what LTS stands for. And this information isn't going to help you for CrimeStoppers, but on an actual assessment, if you can identify a end-of-life system, which means it doesn't receive updates, just by the Apache header, you're going to look like a wizard. They're going to be like, how'd you know it was going to be vulnerable to this privask before you even had a shell? Well, Apache's just broadcasting it can't be updated since January 13, 2018. It doesn't seem like a logical thing to know just based upon the Apache version, but you can find out. Anyways, let's go back to the machine, and we can go to 10.10.10.80 and see a Mr. Robot page it looks like. And once you see these pictures, you can confirm, yes, it is a Mr. Robot themed machine, and that's just a pretty darn good TV show. And normally I would run GoBuster or something like that, but I have it on good authority that the creator of the machine isn't a dick and waste your time by just making you wait while the tool runs. So the first thing I do when I come across a page is I look at the source code to see if I can identify if it's WordPress or not, looking for things like WP-plugins or something Joomla related. And I don't see any of that. I do see Bootstrap here, so Bootstrap is a theme. So if the page looks familiar, it's probably just the developer decided to grab a common Bootstrap theme and have at it. So clicking around, we do see a upload page, op equals upload, where you can submit a tip. Sending this, we see secret name. I don't know exactly what that variable is yet. And op equals view. And normally with file uploads, the very first thing you do once you upload a file is try to find out exactly where it uploaded. So if we go to /uploads, we see read the source Luke, so let's read the source code. And looking at this, the view doesn't really have anything. Let's change this to upload. And we see an interesting comment, 59 or 59. SQL injection in tip submission, remove database requirement by changing submit tip to create a file. So we know there's no database, at least that's what this comment is telling us. So running things like SQL map and things like that is pretty pointless, and it does create a file. So that's worth knowing. Let us sniff this request to see exactly what happens. So let's go to burp, turn intercept on, send a tip. And we see a few interesting things. Looking at the cookie, we see admin equals 0, so that is definitely odd. We see name tip, and we got test. So let's just, instead of doing that, let's change this to PHP echo IPSEC. And we could try shells and things like that, but if PHP safe mode or something like that is enabled, it may silently error. So I generally like throwing just the echo command or something safe. Then we got this token command. I don't know exactly what token is, but we can put that to repeater to save the request for future use, and then click forward. Drop that. We get directed to view, secret name, click forward, and we see your tip and the PHP code, so it doesn't look like it executed. It's converting everything to HTML entities, so not just a trivial code execution there. It does say read the source, so the very first thing I'm going to do is probably fuzz this OP variable, because I don't know exactly what secret name is, but OP, this looks like it's controlling the content of the page, obviously, because that's the only thing that's changing. I think I have intercept on. And this is just how small PHP programs work that don't use a framework that does, like MVC, Model View Controller. So generally, you don't want to have to write this little navigation bar. Actually, before we go and explain that, let's put admin equals 1 in a cookie and see what that is. So cookies manager, edit admin, change that cookie to 1, refresh the page, and we see a bunch of file names. Looks like just hashes. I don't know if they're all 32 characters. It doesn't look like they are. But clicking whiterose.txt, we do see, hello, you guys should really learn to code. One of the get parameters is still vulnerable. Most will think this just leads to a source code disclosure, but there's a chain that provides RCE, remote code execution. Contact whiterose at darkarmy.htb for more info. And this email is actually a big hint once we get a initial shell, so remember that. Going back, we're thinking, okay, one of the get parameters is vulnerable, and we only really have 2. We got OP and test secret name. So the very first one I tested was OP, because how PHP templates used to work is you don't want to recode this navigation bar on every single file, because if you added something like list or a new link up here, then you'd have to go back and edit every single file. Same goes with the footer. So generally how that worked is you'd have not notes. Let's make a new directory, call it explain, I guess. Actually, that'll be please sub. So you got index.php that is going to do some header stuff, and that's going to make all of this. Then below that, it's going to include, and it's going to include get, and then the parameter, which was OP. And I'm doing this in each PHP statements because you can do HTML in between all this. But after that, you got PHP footer. So generally that's how small PHP applications work that don't use frameworks. So we're guessing this OP parameter is going to be file name. So the very first thing to test is let's do etc passwd, and we get no such page. Let's add a null byte, and this definitely won't work because the null byte is an exploit from, I think, 2010. I think it's PHP 534. PHP fix null byte changelog. Let's see if we can quickly find this. Null byte. Looks like sometimes it gets vulnerable again through various things. Let's just Google 534 and cheat. I'm not exactly sure. And instead of burning a lot of time, just take my word that the null byte and include statements was fixed. So that's what this hint is saying is, are you really trying that? Did we time travel? This isn't the 90s. And it's printing the null byte, you just can't render it. Also, knowing that this was patched in 2010, if you go back to the releases, Zappos, I keep wanting to say Zapdos, but Zesty was released in 2017, so chances are a 2010 thing working is not good. The next thing I would do is test things like index.php to see if that exists. It should. Then we can do home.php, and we see we get a white page. If we put a bunch of junk, we get not found. So we know that page exists. View.php exists. List.php exists. So we know that the script is probably just taking this OP parameter and then appending .php. So what we can do is a different way, a more recent like local file inclusion trick, which is using PHP's wrappers, the filter one in particular, to do convert.base64-encode/resource equals home. And what this is going to do is convert the PHP script into base64, and when it does that, Apache never sees the PHP tag, so it doesn't send it to be interpreted and executed. So you can just get the raw PHP source code this way. So I'm going to highlight that, press end to go to the end, and we will make a new directory called, I guess, dub. No, source. I normally use dub as like a Python simple HTTP server directory, so I'm not going to put stuff there. I'm going to put in src for source, and we grabbed home, so I'm going to do v home.php.b64, paste base64-d, and put that in home.php. And we get invalid import because I had a space at the end. And we see at the very beginning, it does a include to common.php. So we got another PHP script name, and this looks like just HTML. So let's grab index, and then we'll grab other things. So source equals index. This is the biggest script, and vim index.php b64. looking at this, we have, let's see, this is that match. So if we do 2 dots or a null byte, it executes the 90s. The cookie, it's got the function page top to print the top. And we don't really see anything interesting in index other than what is that OP include statement? Page bottom. I really hate PHP. I can't even read my own code. This is index, so there should be an include. There we go. So if it can't include op.php, then do no such page. And that comes right after it doing the page top function. So I really should have done a better job coding that, since it's pretty bad when I can't read my code that I wrote about a year ago. Anyways, let's just dump all the pages. Copy this, vim, list.php.b64, base64-d to decode it. This one doesn't really have anything. So let's go to the next one. We have home, index, list. There was upload and view. So upload, load PHP. Okay, looking at this, we see it doing a cross-site request forgery token on the uploads, and we see it's placing tips in the folder of the client's IP address. So if the directory upload/client IP doesn't exist, make it chmod to 755, and I forget what this false does. And that's going to generate a file name that's probably in common.php, and then direct them to view secret name. And if the CSRF token doesn't work out, it's going to print hacker detected. So let's actually show that, because I don't think I showed that before. So if we click upload, we can do test test, go to burp, turn intercept on, send this to repeater, and we get 302 found, and it's going to direct us to the file. And we can click follow redirection, and we can see your tip is test. If we send this request again without even modifying it, click go, we don't get that 302. Oh, I think we click. There we go. We have to click back because we followed the 302. This is the same exact upload request. Click go. We get 200 OK, and the message, hacker detected. And then a bunch of junk. So how that works, if we go to the code, if you hit the upload page, it's going to generate a token, and then when you submit it, it's going to kill the token. So it only works once. And that was done to prevent the disk from filling up with space, of people just using an automated tool and hammering it. So let's go to view. Is there anything there? We have to turn intercept back off. View. No. Whoops. I'm going to have to type this all again. There we go. View. copy this. I didn't grab the space, so we probably won't see that error message. Or did I grab the space? We'll see. Yep, no base64 error message because I didn't grab the space. Nothing here. Let's look at common. Grab this. And looking at common.php, we see if the hacker cannot control the file name, it's totally safe to let them write files, ... or is it? So that's another hint at there's something wrong with being able to upload these files. And it's kind of a hint to say let them write files, not let them write tips or notes, let them write files. So let's go back to the upload code and see if we see anything interesting. So we can ignore that CSRF stuff. If directory uploads doesn't exist, just create the directory, upload client IP. So let's try that. My IP address is, let's see, 10.10.14.30. So going here, let's do it in a new window. Uploads 10.10.14.30. We get the index page. So we can get rid of this view source. And we know now that the secret name is really just the hashes. So clicking this one, we see PHP echo IPSEC, and it's completely blank, when this should be valid command. So let us copy this and PHP-A to enter the interactive mode. And yes, that is PHP code. So HTML is just hiding everything in between these brackets. And the reason why PHP isn't executing this is because it doesn't have like .php, .php5, .php7. It doesn't have the extension of Apache to tell Apache to send it to PHP. So there is a PHP wrapper that will allow us to do that because we could send it files, not tips, but files. So if you look at PHP Wrappers and pull up the document, and the reason why you're looking into this is because of whiterose.txt. If we click list, the get parameter that is vulnerable leads to source code disclosure. We found that. That was the PHP filter. But there is a chain that provides remote code execution. So if you did a lot of Googling or just knew a little bit about PHP wrappers, you would notice there is a zip one. That wasn't the correct page. Let's see. PHP wrappers LFI code execution. Let's see if this actually pulls up anything. You could do expect. There's quite a few of these. But in particular, I'm going to do zip. Because I think that's the only one this is vulnerable to. It may be vulnerable to other ones. Let's see, does this have zip in it? It does not. File LFI. So, how the zip one works is you can do zip : the zip name, a £, and then the file. So this is going to be really handy because we can write this archive.zip can just be that random junk that the server creates, and then we can go into that file and call cmd, and then it's going to do the .php appending to us. So let us make a directory. Let's call this, or not make a directory, a file, cmd.php. And we're going to make this called, let's see, do PHP echo system request. I don't think that has to be capital, it's just habit. And we'll do, instead of please sub, let's just do ipsec. And this should execute code. So it's going to take whatever is in the parameter ipsec and send it to system and print the results. So the next thing to do is zip this up. Zip, is it cmd.zip, then cmd.php? There we go. So now we got that zip file. So a lot of people, I think, made a mistake here. I think they tried to just cat this cmd.zip and then copy this, because it doesn't look like there's any bad characters. I'm going to be sad if there actually aren't bad characters in this one. We'll see. So a lot of people that were trying this, we have to go back, go to uploads, paste this, put test, and we can send the tip. Looks like junk. Here's that file name. So what we're going to do is do op zip, then we can do upload / 10 10 14 30, because this is the directory the upload is in. Paste that, put the £, do cmd, then ipsec is equal to who am I. So what this is going to do is go to this blob, which is a zip file, go into it, put cmd, and the server script is going to append.php for us, and then we can do another parameter ipsec to do that. And we get error no such page, which is a bit odd. So let's send this into burp, because everything we did should have worked. So send this. Let's refresh. Look at this. And we don't see anything. And that's because the HTML, RFC, or specification, however this works, uses whatever after the pound or hashtag as more of an anchor. So if the web page has an anchor to go to certain locations, that's how the browser knows that not to load the page, just go to that spot on the page, if that makes sense. I don't think it does, but we're going to move on. So we're just going to, that wasn't my clipboard, cut this. We're going to paste that, send this to repeater, click go. We still get no such page, so what we're going to do is URL encode this with Control-U after we highlight it, click go, and we still are getting no such page. So the next thing to do is let's verify this exists. So let's copy all that. We can turn intercept off. And this is the second mistake I think a lot of people made when they were trying to do this exploit. And I hope I really typed it right. And okay, we can download this. So let's download it. So curl that -o. This should be cmd.zip, but I don't want to overwrite it, so we'll call it test.zip. And we can md5 sum, test.zip, and cmd.zip, and these should be the same exact thing, but they have different md5 sums. And the reason being is, let's see if we can diff these, if it works with binary files. They just differ. It didn't copy some of the what is it? New line characters correctly. So let's see. Will this do it quickly? If we can't do it quickly, you can play with it, but let's do test.zip.hex, and we'll do cmd.zip.hex, and then diff it. So right off the bat, we can see one begins with 504B, the other begins with 2050. So these are definitely different files. If you try to unzip test.zip, let's go into a temp directory. We get an error message. So if we do file test.zip, it even registers as ASCII text. If we do file cmd.zip, it registers as zip. So we got a lot of issues with how we uploaded that. And that's another mistake I think a lot of people have made. The way I would recommend doing this is when you want to copy a bunch of junk that has weird characters that you can't see, let's use burp. So we can do that again. Click intercept on, send tip. And then the tip, let's go back to this. We can do base 64 -w0 for width 0. So if we don't do that, we can do cmd.zip and put it on multiple lines. I don't know if that's an issue, but I just do -w0, put that all on one line where I'm doing this. Copy it, go to burp, put it in, highlight it, and then we can convert selection, base 64, decode. And there we go. This looks much different than the last one we sent. If we go back, let's see. I'm not sure where we sent it. Was it edited? Well, you can go back in the video if you want to see it. But it looks a lot different. So let's go back to intercept. Oh, I did it to repeater, I think. Did I? I'm not going to worry about it. So click forward. Turn intercept off. We go back here. It's not even printing out a tip, which is weird. Did I do that wrong? Not sure. So what we're going to do is go to /uploads 10, 10, 14, 30. And no, it just didn't print it because the PHP script errored since it was a binary file and not text. But this looks much better. So let us save this file. And we can do curl again. So curl -o new.zip. And we're going to md5 sum all the .zips. And we see cmd.zip and new.zip have that same exact md5 sum. And the md5 sum of test.zip was different. So now we have the correct file, the real file uploaded. So let's go back to burp, go into repeater, replace the file name with the new one, click go, and we get no such page. So if we this, let's see, we can get rid of this for now real quick. And this has to be URL encoded, and I probably just didn't copy a character. So let's see. Copy all of this. Actually, let's test the whole string. Okay, I did copy and paste poorly. Refresh. Let's just copy the whole string. It's easy to make mistakes when doing some things. Man, that was way off. So we no longer have invalid page. So we can add ipsec equals who am I. And now we get invalid page. Let's see. Oh, it's and. I don't know why I was doing question marks. And ipsec equals who am I. There we go, www-data. So finally have code execution on the box, so let's get a shell. So pen test monkey reverse shell cheat sheet. And I'm just going to do this netcat one because this almost always works. So we'll, as long as netcat's on the box, which for some reason a lot of things include it by default. I don't know why. Let's see. Let's do port 8001. Actually 9001 because it's over 9000. And do 10, 10, 14, 30. We got to URL encode this. And that should be good. So let's see, NC LVNP 9001. Click go. Didn't get an immediate return, which is good for us. And we get a shell. So python-c import pty, pty.spawn, bin bash. That doesn't exist, so Python 3. And then we can background it, do stdy raw minus echo, hit FG enter, and now we have a real shell. So there is a file in the web directory that just gives credit to where this exploit came from. I first saw it in the 2016 Plaid CTF, or Plaid CTF. I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce that on Web Pixel Shop. So if you want to see another similar vulnerability, find this and do that. So the very first thing I guess we can do is, if we grab the user flag, if we go to home, ls-la, and you see DOM, go into DOM's directory, and you have the user.txt that we can read, so wc-c user.txt, 33 characters, MD5 sums 32, then you got the new line, which is 33, so could read that. And we also have .thunderbird, and that's interesting because if you remember, all the way back at the very beginning of this, we have whiterose.txt, and he's giving an email address. So Thunderbird is an email client. What I'm going to do is go into .thunderbird, and we're going to copy this profile. And I'm going to do that by tar-cjvf, and then we can put the file name. So let's do vir www html, and then my burp just take focus. That was weird. Probably Firefox auto update. I hate that thing. Upload. Is it uploads? Yeah. Then 10, 10, 14, 30. And we'll do this firefox.tar.bz2. And then after that is the directory you want to zip up. So now, if we just go back to Firefox and go into uploads 10, 10, 14, 30, we can download the file. And also, I forgot to mention it, if you had read the source and noticed how it was doing it, I know a lot of people just brute forced other people's IP addresses and went into their directories and found files that way. Unintentional, forgot to add I didn't want to do .index because I wanted people to see this, so I guess in hindsight, I could have created a .htaccess file probably to restrict the directory by IP address or something weird like that, but one small thing I forgot when creating this machine. So if I knew, I could just do www fuzz and fuzz the last octet and get other people's directories. So let's go back to our machine. And we can copy out of that downloads directory. We called it Firefox. And then unzip it, zxvf. No, jxvf. And move this into the Thunderbird. So I have Thunderbird installed. You can just do apt-get install Thunderbird, and then we can call Thunderbird with dash, I think, profile manager. Default rename. I thought it would have another one. So after we copy that, let's copy the name, go into profiles.ini, and change the profile. And then we go into Thunderbird. And we can read the emails. So we see the person is dom at crimestoppers.htb, and there's a email RCE vulnerability. This is Whiterose trying to contact, saying, I left note on leave a tip page but no response. Major vulnerability exists in your site. This gives code execution. Continue to investigate. We will sell exploit. Perhaps buyers not be so kind. For more details, place 1 million ecoins in your wallet. Payment instructions will be sent once we see you move money. So this was a little bit of a pseudo hint, I guess you could say, because before, Whiterose's English was not horrible. You guys should really learn to code, want to get parameters vulnerable. And now they kind of changed their tactic. And additionally, place 1 million ecoins in your wallet, and then they will take it. So it kind of hints potentially, unless it's like Bitcoin and there's a ledger and they can publicly see it, but they have access to the wallet that they're moving it to. So once they see they transferred whatever USD to 1 million ecoins, then they'll send payment instructions. And if you go to the sent mail, you can see immediately Dom went to Elliot saying they got a suspicious email from the DarkArmy claiming there's remote code execution. She doesn't trust them. She ran a program called RK Hunter, which is Rootkit Hunter. It reported that the Apache ModMe backdoor was installed. And according to the research, if the rootkit was on the server, she should be able to run netcat localhost 80, then type get root to get a root shell. However, the server just errors out without providing any shell at all. Would you mind checking this as a false positive? So sending it to a security vendor to check on a malware alert that Rootkit Hunter said. She also forwards this to Santiago, saying she's going to try to trick Whiterose and pretend to set up a bug bounty page to pay it out. This was actually a tactic I think someone did with Uber when I was writing this machine, or something around that, but this was the main email to look at. And additionally, you got her email account. So there is a program called like Firefox Decrypt. There's also Lasagna. There's a bunch of things to decrypt Mozilla passwords. And if you just Googled Firefox Decrypt password, you'd get to this GitHub page. And we can see the instructions say Firefox Decrypt folder containing profiles.ini. So let's do Python, then root Thunderbird. Master password, you would think this is encrypted with the user's password or something, you have to crack it. But by default, nope, no master password, just hit enter. And we can see that there's a user dom at crimestoppers.htb with the password Gummer59. Grace Gummer is the actress that played Dom, so that's where the password came from. 59, of course, is a big thing in Mr. Robot. So SSH Dom at 10:10:14:30, and oh no, port 22 isn't open. Of course it isn't. So what we can do is go back here, do netstat alnp grep22, and we see it is listening. So there's something weird here. Can we go to Etsy and then find.grep IP table, cd IP tables, cat rules.v4. Can we read this file? We cannot. We can see the rules v4 file is 413 bytes and the rules v6 file is only 191. So chances are the IPv6 stuff has less information, less rules than the version 4. So do IPADDR. We can grab the IPv6 address of dead beef. Go back to our bash, and then SSH with those credentials, and the password, Gummer59, and we can SSH in. So the next thing I'll do is start looking into that backdoor that Dom said. So going into the sent mail, we can Google Apache mod rootme backdoor. If we copy this, because obviously there's information since she's saying she should be able just to type get root to get a root shell, which sounds weird. So go to Apache modme backdoor, and we can clear out some of these old tabs. Very first result is mod rootme. And this is a public Apache rootkit. That's when you nc localhost, type get root, and then it puts you as root. So it installs to userlib apache 2 modules. So let's go there and see if the file exists. So cd user share apache modules ls-la, and we can see, yes, it does exist here. It was uploaded on December 22nd. So let's copy this and SEP it. So we could SEP it to ourselves, but let's SEP to an IPv6 address, because it's a little bit different. So if we do SEP dom at the IPv6 address, I didn't copy the 2. And we need -6, I think. You'll notice the issue when we type /userlib apache 2 modules mod rootme.so, I think. You notice a weird issue. IPv6 uses colons. SCP uses colons to separate IP and file. So IPv6 addresses generally can be also done in brackets. And that also helps with the port, because when it's in brackets, you can do port 80. So if you ever come across that scenario, put it in brackets, and we can do password and copy that file. So very first thing to do is let's open this up in Radare. You could use IDA or something like, really anything, but I like using Radare. And then the first thing is AAA to analyze all functions. If you don't know, it may look confusing because you hit tab, you get, oh my god, so much junk. Just do question mark. It's like Cisco switches and things like that of how to learn it. And A is analysis command, so you can do A question mark, and it tells you what all the things do. So AA, analyze all, then AAA, auto name functions after that. So that's how you do it. P is print stuff. Then you can do, what is P? D. PD is print disassembled. Then you can do PD, C, pseudo disassembler, and C like syntax. PDF, just disassemble to print an ASM. So it's really intuitive once you start using it a little bit. So that's why I would recommend just using it, especially for things like this. AFL, so A question mark, AF is analyze functions, then AFL, analyze function list. And we can list all the functions. You can also do like VVV and go into visualization mode, which is nice if you aren't too used to it. There's also a program called Cutter, which is a GUI for Radar, but I generally don't like chaining open source projects, because then you depend on 2 people instead of just 1. And looking at the functions, you see a really odd one, sim.darkarmy. So we can copy this and do PD F, then at sim.darkarmy, and see what this is. So, and you could also, I think AXR, sim.darkarmy, and where is it? AX, is it G? To show X references where the code's used. I think that's it. Anyways, let's just go back to the assembly and analyze this. So we'll do that in a minute. Oh, it's AXT. That's what it was. Is that what I did first? No, I did our AXT. So sim.darkarmy is called in root me post read request. But we'll get to that in a minute. We have the beginning of this function calling malloc, and then LEA, load effective address. We got a memory address here. So it's loading, just looks like a byte array into RDI. Load effective address, RSI, and the string HackTheBox, which is at memory address 0x1BFD. And it's HackTheBox. So it loads two strings into memory registers. It's going to clear out EDX. And then we're going to go into a loop, as indicated by this. And also, if you like visualization, you could also do like capital VV sim.darkarmy and analyze it like this if this is how you prefer it. And you can do like tab to change views or P as well. So this is what we're looking at. We're moving, let's see, the byte RDI plus RDX. And RDX is, let's see, 0. So it's part of EDX. So it's really weird registers between like the various generations, I guess you could say. Registers. We'll jump in. I think this will get me to the page I want. Yes, call security. Oh, it had such a pretty picture. So RDX. Do we have a picture? We'll just use this. RDX is EDX, just bigger. So like how EDX is DH and DL, and then DX. RDX is EX, EDX, and then 32 bytes more over here. Horrible explanation. Look into how that works. But RDX is 64 bits, so it's 2 of EDX's, essentially. So when we XOR this out, it's probably going to be completely empty here. So this is probably 0 right now. RDI, this is the memory address here, and it's moving that byte into ECX. And then we have, let's see, RDX again. Okay, so RDI, the very first character of this, whatever string is at this location, it's getting put in ECX, and that's going to RSI, and then taking the very first character, because RDX is currently 0, taking the very first character of this and XORing against CL. And this looks a little bit confusing, but if you look at this, ECX, CL is the rightmost 8-bit. So CL is part of ECX, and this is probably just to save space, some compiler optimization or something weird like that. But it's compiling the very first byte of RDI. Did I say compiling? XORing the very first byte of RDI and the very first byte of RSI. Then it's going to add 1 to RDX, It's going to check if RDX is equal to 0xa, which is 10, which is the number of characters in HackTheBox. Then it's going to jump back up here and do it all over again. This time RDX is now one higher. So it's going to grab the second byte in the memory address of RDI. So instead of going to 1BF2, it's going to 1BF3, grabbing that byte, put in ECX, and instead of going to 1BDFD, it's going to 1BDFE, and putting that byte into, or XORing straight away. And then adding 1, doing it all over again. So all we have to do is grab the string at this address, grab the, well, we know the string at this address, and XOR them. So if we do P question mark and look for hex, so let's see, P X is a hex dump of bytes, and then we can do at that, and we have the hex dump at 1BF2, and if we do PDF, 1BF2 is where the string begins, so we'll copy 10 bytes, we'll copy up to the null byte, because as we said before, null byte is a string terminator. So this is 10 bytes long. So create a new window. We can do Python b1 is equal to byte array this. I think I'm doing the code right. And then \x. Okay. I've got that. Let's redo that just in case that errors out. Then we can do b2, byte array, HackTheBox. And then we can do for I in range 0, I think. Is it B1? 0 is at the very first character. Yep. So for I in range 0, 9. Print. We're in Python 2. Yeah, Python 2. B1 I XORed with B1 or B2 I, and then made a mistake there. We don't need to put this in quotes. And we get a bunch of hex. So let's do that again, except this time convert it to characters, and we get FunSociety, or FunSociety. So I did something wrong. For I in 0 to 10. There we go. FunSociety. So we XORed those two strings together and got this. So if we quit out, we can do get nc 10 10 10 or 10 10 14 30 port 80. Nope. 10 10 10 80 port 80, and then get FunSociety. Do ID. We are root. We can go into /root and get the file. So wc-c root.txt, and we're done. One small thing, if we wanted to look at that X references, there's something that may have thrown people off. If we do strings on mod rootme, you'll see it's looking at this white rose file, and that is weird. Why is it looking at that? And that could have put people down a weird hole. Has really nothing to do with that at all. All that's there is to prevent people from taking this script and using it elsewhere. They have to modify it themselves if they don't want get root. So if we do axt, not axt, how do we view strings? Analyze all. Because we got to get the memory location of this string. So, is it PS? No. Let's do question mark. I. There we go. IZ. So we could do dump strings and data section. We could also search in the whole binary, and that's more what the strings program showed. Let's just do the data section, and we can see this string is stored at 1C18. So if we do AXT, and AX is cross references, T is right here, address to this address. So AXT, find out where this memory location is referenced in the binary. We see it's in sim root me post read request. So we can PDF that. And we see it's right here. And you could also, if you like it, I just copied too much. VV, go into visualization mode, and it's loading the string into RDI, clearing out ESI, doing a access syscall, and if the file exists, go down here and do stuff. If the file doesn't exist, exit right away. So if that file, whiterose.txt, doesn't exist, the rootkit's going to do nothing. I think there was one more thing I wanted to do. I can't remember what that is. Oh, I remember. It's back to the PDF at sim.darkarmy. Or we can do the read request. So I did PDF. It's pretty hard to read if you don't know assembly. You could do PDC, and it's going to attempt to decompile it. And we can see keyword. So it's kind of more syntax, or C syntax like output. And we can see access. And then it's unlikely that this. I don't really use it that often. I generally like this output much more than the PDC. But it does exist. And if you do the sim.darkarmy, this may make more sense to you than the PDF. Is there any other outputs it does? Let's see. Pseudo C-like syntax. We can just Google. Not Google. Like offset formatted assembly PD as JSON. Nope. I was wondering if it did like Python or something, but doesn't look like it. So that is the reverse engineering piece of this. There is a unintended root method if we pretend we are instant responders. So if we're not Mr. Robot and go hack stuff, and if we're Elliot, who is a instant responder, we can just kind of guess when the incident occurred. So if we do cd for www HTML, upload whiterose.txt, this is when he left the message for us, and that was on December 23. Looking at the email, let's see, when did he email us? December 16th, which is a little bit odd. So pretty much all of December we can assume this server was compromised, because December 16th is when he emailed us, and the file was last modified December 23. And let's see, we can use find to list all the files that were modified in December. So find /-type F to only search files, then newer MT. 2017, we'll do December 15th. Actually, we'll do December 10th. Then exclamation point, -newer MT, and this is the end date, 2017, 12/31. And then we'll also do -ls, so it shows us all the permissions, and we don't want to see what's in dev null. So here's all the files that have been modified, and this is definitely good to do for instant response because you can see generally what the hacker did. And also, it's good in CTFs because this isn't when I was on the box, this is when I was developing it. So chances are the files I put on here are relevant. So we can see the IP table rules. Let's see. Shadow file, so password was changed probably or added. Or an Etsy, there's a bunch of stuff there. User share. We don't care about that. Python. So this is grabbing a bunch of stuff from install. So I'm going to change the start date to be a little bit less noisy and do, I think 16, or we'll do, looks like everything was generated on the 16th, so we'll do the 17th. And we get a lot less. So, let's see. Etsy, not much changed. We have logs from around the time I was on the box, and Apache logs. Rootkit hunter log, Rootkit hunter logs, and I forgot. Did I leave these writable? Yes, because Gummer's a member of ADM, so she can read log files. So if we do var log, you could have looked at the Rootkit hunter log yourself, because this requires -c. You need to be root to run it. And I didn't give her sudo permissions because I didn't feel like people exploiting Rootkit Hunter itself, if that had an exploit. Yeah, so if we cat hunter.log.1, permission denied. So we don't have permission for that one. No. But we do have permission for the, is it Apache? I saw the access log. Yeah, it's in Apache too. So we have access to these logs. And we can see it goes December 24, 25, 26, 27, then May, because of how HackTheBox works with reverting and things like that. So we can do zcat to go into the actual logs that are gunzipped. Zcat just unzips and then does cat. So access.log, we're not going to care about error. That's probably interesting, but we can do 234 dot star. And we can view everything. At the very end, we have a bunch of weird stuff. And we have get root, HackTheBox, DarkArmy, whiterose, HackTheBox. Let's see. Bunch of odd ones on December 23. So let's just say, what do we want to do? Let's grep-v, and we don't want options, head, post, get. And we see more. On Christmas, we see FunSociety quite a few times. And we also may just want that 400. So, grep 400. There we go. So right now I was just trying to filter out standard HTTP requests because you would see the get, post, head options. For this, we're not. And we can see just FunSociety constantly right around Christmas time. Actually, on Christmas at 1 o'clock, so just before I went out for Christmas dinner, I was testing this box and creating this Apache module. And actually what happened was, if you go to the mod.rootme page, you can't just run this anymore. If you go to the issues, we see Jeff McJunkin, because this was used in NetWars, he just didn't modify it. But you need the HTTP protocol options unsafe in Apache 2 conf. So all this stuff was created because I didn't have that flag in, and it wasn't giving me the shell. So there's root me on December 23rd, so that's when the module got installed and me testing, wait, why doesn't that work? So I think that may be it. I hope you guys enjoyed the box and enjoyed the video as well. Take care, and I'll see you next week.